What's up, geeks and gamers, and welcome back to Gaming with Geeks. I'm Lethal Lightning, and I am super excited to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh gosh, this game, it is amazing, it is beautiful, I love it. But it's not completely perfect, but it's pretty gosh darn close. So I'd say about slightly less than halfway through the game at the moment. Because I live in Australia, the game was actually shipped early, and a lot of people have already finished it, and Square Enix, to their debatable credit I guess, is kind of cracking down on people uploading content, but that's neither here nor there. The embargo is lifted, we can now talk about the game to some extent. So this isn't going to contain any spoilers, and this is a review in progress because I have not finished the game, but like I said, slightly less than halfway through, so I've got a pretty good understanding of this game. One thing that I will say right now is I wasn't particularly a fan of the fact that they released this game not entirely complete. And I don't mean it's a rushed product, because it's very far from that. There is a lot of love and care and detail and shine put into this game. But what I mean is, if you've been following the game, you would know that they released one part of the game where it's just this section of Midgar, except they've completely expanded it. Now, we don't know how many actually parts they're going to be to this game, 2, 3, 4, who knows. Now, I really wish they released a full game, but based on the size of this one, man, this is going to end up being probably close to 100 hours of gameplay when this is all said and done. I've seen people say that they've completed this particular part of the game in between 25 and 30 hours, and this is just the first part. So what they've done is, like I said, they've taken the first part of the game, Midgar, and they've just completely expanded it. Now this ends up working very well in their favor because they're able to add so much more character development. And that's one thing that completely took me by surprise, is just how much they want to go out of their way to develop these characters, and it really does pay off. We learn so much more about them. They have all these great interactions both in cutscenes and just bantering with each other when part of the party playing the game. One character that particularly stood out to me was Jessie, a character I never really cared for, in all honesty, in Final Fantasy. But now here she is, we get more of her backstory, we go to her mum's house, and there's a whole lot more to her, so that's really cool. And the way we see Cloud, how he's just got like this really rock hard exterior, and then throughout the game he kind of slowly starts to let his guard down and accept these people as his friends, even though he kind of just tries to play off as he's more of a merc. And this also allows for greater world building, which is another thing they've done really well. We get to see the events that the characters do in this game and just how it transpires and affects the world around them. Because they are labeled as eco-terrorists, we get to see the effects of their bombings that they carry out and how it affects the world. People are losing their jobs, people are killed. Some people don't fully support them. A lot of people are completely against them, even though they are, in their opinion, doing the greater good. So that's a whole nother layer that's been added to this game, and whew, it's a good one. But the downside to that is you can kind of notice the areas where they've just stretched things out and put things in there that really didn't need to be there. There'd be like a part of this mission where it's just out of nowhere, there'll be this objective to do something that just seems kind of out of place. Now these are few and far between, but they do stand out where they're there. And that also goes along with the dungeon design in this game, which isn't exactly amazing. I mean, it just feels like they've made it bigger than it needs to be, but they haven't added a whole lot of life to it. It just becomes very same type stuff. But one thing that seems to be a little bit rushed is the build up to Sephiroth. He's kind of introduced very early in this game, so it seems like they want to get more into the actual conflict between Cloud and Sephiroth as opposed to the build up which was there originally. Now me personally, that does not bother me at all, but I can totally understand that there will be people out there that don't like this particular aspect. But one thing that I think most people will agree with is how good the combat is in this game. Yes, you can kind of play this like the original in the classic mode, but the way it was meant to be played is in the default mode, and it kind of comes across, to me at least, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, as what Kingdom Hearts combat always wanted to be. How you have your main attack button, your dodge button, but you also are able to open up a menu at the press of one button and scroll through all your different moves and magic. So it's pretty cool. I really like the combat. As you're fighting along, you build up your ATB gauge, and you use bars of this gauge to carry out special attacks, using magic, using items, which can be a bit weird at times when you need to use an item and you just can't because you don't have a ATB gauge just to throw out a potion or something like that. But you're also able to just, with the tap of a button, bring up the menu for your party members and give them commands that they will carry out if they have the correct ATB gauge to do so. Earlier when I mentioned about the dungeons not having the greatest of designs, by the time you get to the end of the dungeon, you'll come across a boss, and all my complaints about the dungeon were pretty much gone because every single boss fight has been good. They don't repeat themselves, they're very interestingly designed, and the way that the mechanics of the boss fight use, it's great. Every single time feels like a fresh experience going up against a boss fight where you need to use a different tactic. This is one of those games where if you just run in there and spam the attack button, you're not going to win the boss fight. It just ain't going to happen. When you first start to level up your characters though, you will possibly be a bit concerned with just how extensive some of the menus are, the way you can upgrade your weapons and all that type of stuff. It is explained and it does come across very simple once you've read the tutorial, which is really just like 2 paragraphs. But if that's still a little bit too much, or even you just can't be bothered with it, you can also set it to an auto unlock stuff and you can put a preference between balance, offensive and defensive. I think this is a really cool feature, you know, it saves a bit of time, and I actually used it for a little bit and I forgot it was on, and I could notice the difference between the character I was playing as and the party members. You could tell that their weapons were becoming better and they were unlocking more stuff. I've seen some people online talking about how they don't consider this a remake and more of a total reimagination of the game, and I can respect that. I think that's a very good way to put it in all honesty. But I gotta mention that the soundtrack to this game is so good. I love the soundtrack. The visuals are amazing. I really just have so many great things to say about this game. And I feel like the negative things to this game are very nitpicky, apart from what I mentioned at the start, how it's not the full game. That is definitely going to turn people off, and I totally get it. But this, as a game, it does come across, so far at least, as a complete package. It feels like by the time this section of the game's wrapped up, we're going to have a good ending, and part 2 will have a good jumping on spot. That's just how I feel at the moment. By the time I finish this game, my thoughts might have changed a little bit. They might have changed drastically. So I'll be sure to let you know when I finish this game and how I feel by the end of it. But have you guys played this game yet? If you're Australian and you've got the game, let me know what you think about it. Drop the thoughts in the comment section down below. Will you be picking this game up when it comes out worldwide? Let me know. Subscribe to Gaming with Geeks. Check out geeksandgamers.com. Leave a big thumbs up on this video. Share the video around. All that good stuff. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you all in the next video.